Hello, Las Vegas. Hello, world. Hello, our loyal minions. It is good to see you, and it's always good to be seen. This is the Metal Edge podcast, hosted by my cohort, Mr. Paul Gargano. Good evening, sir.
Hello. How are you, Izzy?
I'm great. I got check these new Natty Light cans out. The old school.
Really? So that's your sustenance. This is my sustenance.
Yeah. We'll make it a real party. I'm drinking seltzer water, so I think we're ready to have it.
But it's black cherry. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him, Mr. Jason Bieler. Good day to you, sir.
Jason,
don't get up, Izzy. Don't get up.
Izzy can't get up. Oh, wait. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just.
Or are you going to agree?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, Scotty from Canada is already here, so he gets the
take off, you hoser.
Good day, Scotty. So brand new album is already on pre-sale. Which is called Asylum, and I have a
Izzy, you can't. It's not called Asylum. It's called Postcards from the Asylum.
Oh, Postcards from the. See, God damn it! I had this whole Kiss thing worked out, and now I can't go there. All right, so
you should work on the basic comprehensional reading before you work on Kids Connections.
He just saw the big.
Yes,
he's a sucker for the big font.
Yeah, he's a sucker for the big font. He thought this was a Kiss cover album.
I was bummed. There was no any way you slice it on there. There was the cover didn't look like that iconic Kiss 1985 cover. And
all right, Izzy, let's just get this out of the way. Let's just get this out of the way right now. What's your favorite Kiss solo album?
Kiss solo album, Peter Criss.
All right. Now we're done with that. All right, we're done with Kiss. Let's move on to Jason Bieler.
The Japanese import of my new record is a Kiss tribute album, though, by the way.
Nice. That's good to know. That is good to know.
You have time to redo your cover, so you're wearing kabuki makeup. You know, instead of a
it's a scratch and sniff kind of thing where you rub the front and I slowly
and you impale yourself on the beak.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. But what is this? What is the story? Because I personally am still loving this album.
Why, thank you very much.
Do you remember this? Do you remember this one, Jason? We're going back. I think this is pre-pandemic.
I like to think it brought about the pandemic in many ways. It was released at the time that record came out. I knew there was going to be a problem using a Chinese manufacturer, but
I ask you what city you manufactured this in, and we'll just go from there. But yeah, for those of the people that aren't watching on YouTube, I just held up Jason's last stellar solo album, Songs from the Apocalypse, or Songs for the Apocalypse. But if you're listening to it now, it's from the Apocalypse, since it was the Apocalypse when it came out. Yeah, Songs for the Apocalypse. And then the new one is Postcards from the Asylum.
Postcards from the Asylum. Now I don't even know my own records.
Yeah, you don't even know your own names. We're for the Apocalypse and from the Asylum. I see a trend going on here. Is this autobiographical?
Do you know, strangely enough, like I didn't notice it because, I mean, Paul, we've known each other forever. Like I write like an idiot. So I'm not really paying attention to what I do. And it all kind of comes out. And until I put all the lyrics together and was getting them proofread, and my wife was looking at them and she's like, I think I need to get a restraining order. You have like serious issues. Like it doesn't dawn on me the context of what I do until someone else in the room, goes, you really might want to talk to somebody.
Until you get a letter from a lawyer going today. Well, you get a nup in the middle of the marriage. It's not a prenup. It's a nup in the middle of the marriage. Now I think I want paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. It's a strange thing.
So that was how did this come about? It was just, would you just start writing songs? It wasn't themed. It wasn't.
But if you listen to it now, in hindsight, and especially, I think the guy who uses his name Robert Merrick, who's just a genius. And as it started to all assemble, it kind of, as retro, actively started to realize, wait a minute, there is like this running, bizarre, kind of loose concept I wouldn't say it's a strict concept, but it's loosely threaded in a very strange way that even I didn't realize.
I mean, in that regard, could every album kind of be like a concept record? Because there's something going on in your head when you write them. I mean, we could loosely string everything together, right?
No, just me.
Just you. Oh, horrifying. I mean, for one thing that I loved about it, and I only had a chance to listen to it once or twice today because it's like 8 hours long, and
yes,
it's a long one.
Well, as a marketing genius that I am, I said to myself, we live in a time where no one can pay attention for more than 15 seconds. So release an hour-and-a-half double record and really make the kids happy. That's what.
And really make the kids happy. Well, one of the, like when you did the last record, there was definitely a progressive element to it that really haven't heard from you before. This one I think continues in that. It's very, I mean, for people that know you from Saigon Kick, it's very much got Saigon Kick elements in it. I mean,
Absolutely.
you were integral, obviously, the integral voice of Saigon Kick. So it was, you know, you've got those elements, but it also takes on this like prog feel at times. Like you've been locked in a room with Devin Townsend for a while. And merged that with a little Saigon Kick.
I got a ton of respect for Devin, and yeah, I mean, I think the wheels started to come off me thematically, or even for Saigon Kick, you know, towards, well, we were always a diverse band, but by the Water record, I think it was just starting to, you know, I just always felt music should be whatever I felt like doing. Not writing hits for the sake of trying to write a hit, but I felt like it just, for me, I wanted to go down any path I wanted to go down. And it's kind of funny because that's come back to kind of curse me in a way, because now, like, if I do a straight record, the people who love what I do will kill me. It's like, I'm the one of the weirdest, like, if I did a 10-song hard rock record, people would be like, he sucks. He totally sold out, man. He wrote nothing but hits.
But yeah, I was gonna say, but yeah, when you tour, we see you like do the Hotel Cafe in LA, and it's just stripped down. You know, there's no full band there. It's pretty much, I mean, the last couple of times I've seen you, it's been you and Jeff Scott Soto.
Yeah,
very stripped.
I mean,
down.
We're not touring this. I'm not going to tour. These records feel larger scale production wise, and I want to represent them the right way. So I don't want to just throw them out there either as a support act. Not that I feel like I'm too big to be a support act, but I want the shows to visually encapsulate all that the records are. And I feel I'd be underselling it if I just jumped out anywhere and jammed a song. So but we're getting ready to do some more stuff. I mean, I did play a Prague Power Festival. This whole Prague thing's amazing because, like, we were talking about it on the last record. I didn't ever consider it, never thought about it. And that community, like, completely embraced it to the point where I'm really lucky. Like, I've been discovered by all these new people who don't even know what Saigon Kick is.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing. I mean, Saigon Kick's not Metallica where you can't get out from underneath it, but it's rare that you get a chance to kind of be rediscovered later on. And it's a really cool thing. And obviously I've been lucky enough to play on this record. I have Marco Miniman from the Aristocrats, who's just insane, and Ryo Okamoto from Spock's Beard, and Andy Black Sugar, who's Blondie's guitar player, but was with Peter Murphy, KMFDM.
Wow.
Todd Dammit Kearns from Slash's band, and Took, and all that kind of great stuff. So it's just been the joy of my life. And last record, Devin and Clint Lowry and Bumblefoot, and just getting with these different musicians that I've loved in one way or another, and just making these records has been like the most fun ever. You know, it's just been a cool thing, and I'm lucky.
And the second straight record with no Izzy Presley A chord on it, I'm very, very disappointed.
There's a chord on it. It's just not yours.
Nice. What are you putting this record out by yourself?
I did a distribution deal for the United States. Okay. So we're doing and all the digital stuff I'm handling, because I still have the label from, you know, Bieler Brothers, part of that whole mechanism. So
yeah.
But we wanted to do a bunch of cool stuff. Like, I've been so lucky to develop a really cool base of people on, like, Bandcamp. So we did 250 red double vinyl just for Bandcamp, and that's it. Like, when they're gone, they're gone. And then we're gonna do like 250 yellow vinyl just for indie records stores, like, not. And then, you know, post that, we may do one other color, or we may just go, like, you know, by the time it gets to Amazon or whatever, it'll just be black vinyl. But I wanted to make sure I take care of the core of the people and do cool things that they'd be into, that's exclusive to kind of specifically the Bandcamp community, which has just been, like, shocking even to me. I mean, I think I should be loved, but when it does happen, I'm like,
It's kind of astonishing.
yeah, it's kind of
Were you surprised by the response from the first record?
I mean, I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I don't care. Like, I want to make music that I like. If I can listen to the record right when I finish it and go like, this is what I wanted to do, this is what I wanted to say, and then I'm kind of thrilled. And we live in a world where I'm always expecting, you know, this record, you know, the guy should be boiled alive in a vat of his own urine. Like, I'm whatever, you know, bring it on. I mean, I expect that. And it didn't happen at all. I was really lucky. I mean, it got really, you know, it was really well received, and I don't take that for granted. That doesn't mean that it's always going to be well received or that the next one's going to be well received. But I'm lucky at this point, I think, where, you know, I do what I want to do. And obviously it's always super nice to hear nice things. But I always expect it to be shortly thereafter followed by somebody saying something horrible. So I don't take either one of them seriously.
Right. Well, that's the thing with Saigon Kick too, is like Saigon, they weren't, you know, a run of the mill quote unquote rock band. There was some weird shit going on in those songs. So it almost seems like a natural progression, if it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you know, ever since Paul and I met, I mean, we would joke around about Barry Manilow, and I don't mean negatively. I mean, I love Barry.
No, yeah.
You know, I love Lizzo. I like Harry Styles. I like the Beatles. I like, you know, Elvis Costello. I like Bjork. I like the Sugar Cubes. I love music. So I kind of always go back to that Miles Davis quote of like, there's two types of music, good and the other kind, you know? And so as long as I feel that we can do something with, you know, it's coming from a real space, whether that be a pop tune, a ballad, or something as insanely prog as like the Flying Monkeys track with Marco Miniman on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming from a place where it's an appreciation of the music, that style. I love it. So it's not like I'm like, hey, if I do something really weird with Marco Miniman, I'll be a prog favorite. You know, it just comes from a place where I find it interesting, and then I'll send it to someone like Marco, and he'll like, dude, check this out, and I'm like, okay, we're having fun.
Really quick from the chat room, Scotty Strickland goes, been cranking Heathens all weekend. Did he use the beaver rub for the scratch and sniff?
The beaver rub. It's actually beaver rub. This is the beaver rub, gentlemen.
Yes, the beaver rub, gentlemen. Yes.
Now, I've done a lot of things in my day, as you and we all have, and I have not ever been handed backstage beaver rub. So I was a little taken aback, but this gentleman does make quite the fine rub. Should you want to
rub your beaver?
Actually, you know what? I am going to grab my can of beaver rub so I can show it. Beaver, not Bieber. Beaver rub.
Oh, that makes a whole difference. I've been rubbing Justin Bieber the whole time.
We need like hold music while Izzy runs off.
Exactly. Dun, 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 dun.
Now we find out how organized his pantry is. Let's see how long it takes him to come back with the beaver rub. Here he is.
Actually, I didn't even think about it. I should have put the intermission music in there as I ran it.
Oh, we did. We did.
I can do it on the when I edit the video. I'll put the intermission.
When we start recording this, it's going to be totally pro.
Beaver rub.
Yes.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. You rub it on your meat.
All right.
Sparingly. Okay, then.
Yes.
Sparingly. A little bit goes a long.
It is apparently it is a Canadian delicacy.
Yes.
Yes. I have no comment there.
There's not much to say, really, is there?
There's really not much to say. Do you, Jay, when you work on the solo stuff, I know it's where your head's at and everything else, but do you feel a certain obligation to satisfy all the fans that have been along for the ride, or are you just confident at this point that losers like me are going to love whatever you do? Again, that's why I've been along for this long.
No,
been around for this long.
What I wanted to make on this record, and I mean, obviously, I'll look to you later when you have more time, because I am curious, because I made the whole thing in isolation. So I'm only confident in the fact that it's either the biggest piece of shit or I'm a genius. I have no idea actually what's happened, but I like it to have an arc and a flow. So I don't want it to be too. That was the bigger problem, because I wrote actually probably triple the songs, and it's not that they weren't other good songs.
So this is edited down.
Yes, this is edited down from a bunch of other
Christ.
stuff. So I wanted to make sure I had some challenging things. I wanted to make sure that there was some atmospheric things, and I wanted to make sure that the record kind of, for those people, I mean, there's a group of people that will still listen in headphones, and I will get comments about the reverb pans and all this weird, cool stuff that I did, which I spent a lot of time doing. And then there's people who just listen on Spotify while doing hot Pilates, and that's fantastic too. I don't put a prerequisite on anybody's listen at all. That's great. So I mean, I just really worry more about the ride. Like, I want to make sure that it kind of goes from one place to another, especially a record, because, you know, now I've done 2 double records in a row. I wanted to make sure it, you know, to me, thematically and energy wise, and, you know, just like, you know, like the old adage of a movie or whatever else, I wanted to make sure it didn't stay too long. And even if they're good songs, if you string 3 or 4 of them together and they're of a certain vibe, it can kind of get not as good for this, you know, for the 10 people that listen that way. You know, Spotify reorders the whole thing anyway, so most people just go to the list and whatever's there.
And whatever's in order, what's been listened to the most? Okay, that's what I'll listen to.
I learned such a great lesson because, I mean, I was really lucky the last record did really well, but like, just by the nature of it, like, I didn't think about it. Last record had this really weird atmospheric intro, which is in the top 5 of all my songs, but only because it was the first song in the algorithm. So everyone listens to that, you know, and it's like, you put a lot of thought into things that I don't think really, I mean, they matter to some people, but they're not, you can't be precious about it.
Do you have a preference as to how, like, Izzy is also, I'm a vinyl junkie. I listen to, I'll do digital music if I'm like cooking or something, but I listen to vinyl all the time. And that's for me, that's the experience. You know, I want to listen to side 1, side 2, side 3, side 4. I mean, do you prefer for it to be listened to a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to think that people will take the time to listen to the whole thing, but I also have a real respect for the fact that people don't have that, you know, that lifestyle anymore, like, you know, that we did when we were kids. I do think vinyl lends itself to a certain type of listening, because you're physically invested in putting something on something, lowering a needle, listening, flipping, you know, so it creates a physical aspect to the listening.
Yes.
I think, you know, Spotify or any streaming service can just be more passive, but that's cool too. You know, if you want to, you know, make guacamole in your kitchen and just jam tunes, then do that. Okay. You know,
right. Yeah,
that's how I always say it. I always say the digital is I always say the vinyl is a more active listening experience, and the digital is a more passive. Those are exactly the 2 words I use to describe it all the time.
Right.
And I think there's a time and a place for both, honestly. And I love the fact that the entire catalog of music is at my fingertips with Apple Music, but I also don't want to listen to certain albums on Apple Music. I'd rather go to my turntable. That's
right. And I mean, like I said, I think I even have this in the liner notes somewhere, but, you know, I mean, I'm thankful for any participation in what I do at any level, even if that means you stole the record, even if it means you're streaming it, whatever. But I'm super thankful that such a large group of people still purchased the vinyl, purchased the CDs. And I think they know too, just because everyone's kind of aware how much more support that provides to any artist. You know, financially and otherwise, you know, or buy shirts and stuff like that. So you don't have, I'm very fortunate in my life. So, I mean, I got to pay my mortgage, buy a record. But it's really appreciated. And it means a lot that there's still a group of people that really do that, because without those people of any fan base, you know, we're in a big trouble as an industry.
Right. Yeah. Well, do you think we're getting past the point of the CD being a business card?
I'm surprised people still want them to the degree they want them. There's obviously a group of people out there that want them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, man. I mean, I figure people way smarter than me are going to figure this shit out at some point, and someone will let me know what's happening, because I have no idea.
I mean, I got to be honest. I turn CDs down. Anytime someone tries to offer me a CD, I turn it down. I just look, if you're handing me a CD, I just assume listen on digital. If you're going to hand me vinyl, you're going to guarantee that I'll listen to your album, because every piece of vinyl I buy, I listen to. If you hand me a CD, it's going to sit on the dining room table until my wife or I decide to
remember, like,
the kitchen.
I mean, 20, 30 years ago, when someone handed a CD, you were like, wow, something of vinyl, something of value. It's
right.
Now I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to put this in my pot. I don't want to carry this piece of shit around me all night.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, I think I gave you a CD a couple years ago.
I carried yours with me all night.
He still has it.
So it's in my pocket right now. But then again, you have people like, our good friend Eddie Trunk, who doesn't want links. Yeah. Like I figure, Eddie, I'll send you links to no, send me a CD. That means that's the way he wants. I mean, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, of course, we're having this conversation. As you can see, my CD shelf right behind me. Not my vinyl shelf, my CD shelf,
I love the fact, like Paul said, like that in my hand, in the middle of the woods, every piece of recorded music is accessible to me instantaneously. Like I value that I can go on these, rabbit hole dives of like, oh, Miles Davis, I love this. Oh, he played live with Coltrane here, and I bang, and now I'm listening. Then my new favorite guitar player mentioned this, and it's like you can just go anywhere instantaneously. That was inaccessible to me. I mean, I dreamed of that as a kid, having to save up for like a month and then get a bus ride to the record store in the mall and maybe steal an extra record. If you could slide one into the bag with no one looking, and risking your life.
I mean, it's really interesting because back when you and I met, I mean, we met around water, or we got to know each other around water. You had to go out of your way. If you mentioned an artist and I didn't know who they were, I would go to the record store and buy that artist because I wanted to know more about what made Saigon Kick. You know what I mean? Today, and it's so, like you said, I would have killed to have had that when I was a teenager or in my 20s. And it's really, I think it's interesting that now we have that. It's that everybody's like YouTube, everything is everywhere right now. And it's taken for granted. I mean, it's just, and now people it's almost like they don't, because it's there, they don't care.
Yeah, I don't think, and I don't ever want to come across like goddamn kids today, but
they don't goddamn kids today.
But goddamn kids, but they don't have what we had in the sense that I remember a night of like the older kid in the neighborhood would have a car and we'd park in a field and someone would buy beer and you would listen to like Metal Health over and over and over. And that was a night. Like that was the height of social activity. It was the greatest night ever. Car doors were open and you would just listen to a record like that. But we didn't have Call of Duty and Fortnite and Netflix. And, had we had that, I'm sure we would have been doing a million different things too, So it's all good. I mean, it's just change, and I like change personally. I mean, it takes a second, but I like it.
Is there, because it's kind of like as we change and as we evolve, we're also going back. I mean, you as you commented on earlier, you've made 2 double vinyls in a row. I mean, and in a day and age where my advice to 95% of the bands that I work with is either put out a single or put out an EP. Don't waste your time doing a full length album anymore, because if you look at your Spotify streams, everybody stops by song 5 because they've only got a 25-minute attention span. So like, as we move in that direction, you've now put out 2 double-length vinyls in a row. I mean, is that intentional? I mean, did you go into this saying, I'm going to write 45 songs so I can knock it down to a double album? Or is that just how it happened? And
it kind of just happened that way, but you're talking to the same guy that decided to come out with Love Is On The Way against Nirvana. So I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I mean, I figure at this point, I'm just going to waddle my way through the rest of life and just try to land on my feet. I wouldn't say I'm any kind of genius forecaster of what should or shouldn't be done by anybody. I'm lucky enough that there's a group of people that around the world that have supported it, like it, interested, are commenting nicely, and that's a cool thing. If I was a new band today, I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, part of the technique concept we went with this record in particular was, we released a single, and then we released another single that had that single in it. I think the kids call it waterfalling. So we waterfalled the first 6 songs of this record.
As opposed to waterboarding the first 6 songs of the record, right?
Well, many people
could be considered that too.
Many people may feel they're being waterboarded when they listen to the record, so it's the same. So we've made some adaptations, and I do the big change to me, at least from my perspective, is that everything is about this period of time until the record comes out. Then you have a week, and then nobody gives a shit.
No.
It's over.
How do you think? Do you think that's ever going to change?
No.
No,
Not
you think?
necessarily. I mean, I just think it's the nature of where we live. Like, I mean, I was dying for Meshuggah or hearing these records, you know, and it's like I'm so invested. And if a single comes out and I'm all over it, and the record comes out and I listen to it for about a week or two, and then I'm not saying I never go back to it, but
right,
that moment is very fleeting because then other things are happening and other music's coming. And
right. But do you think if somebody just tried to do it the old school way, where put the single out like 2 weeks before the record comes out, then keep releasing singles after the album's out to renew the interest in the album? Could that work again? I mean, I don't see why it couldn't.
I mean, for Beyonce, maybe, or for somebody that's established and is a huge artist, I think, for someone who does what I do, I mean, I'm always appreciative of airplay, but airplay is not really a factor of what I think about.
Right.
I mean, that's the other issue. There isn't. I mean, I was just reading an article today in Billboard. Morgan Wallen had, I think it's his 7th or 9th. I'm not sure of the number. It's either 7th or 9th top 10 single, and the album hasn't even come out yet. I mean, that's country. You could do that in country.
Right.
There's radio airplay. I mean, there's not really a format for the Baron Von Bielski Orchestra.
No, but I mean, we're our own format.
Right. Well, but here's the other side of that too. It's like, yeah, you have people that are going to come across the album afterwards, and if you release another video like 3 weeks after the album comes out, then that generates interest, and because it's all gonna drive eyes regardless.
There's no doubt. I mean, like, this record will turn people on to the first one. I mean, inevitably. To what percentage that happens, and then you're never in control of people are like, look. I mean, I'm getting text messages today from people talking about the Water record, from third that are, and the funny thing about that record in particular is that it's really found a second life amongst people who didn't really know what was happening at the first time, like when it happened. So music's cool like that. So I mean, I'm always open to anybody discovering anything at any time, and I'm thankful that people want to listen to anything. I mean, in this day and age, it's a miracle.
Speaking of, what? Go.
I'll just say Dick Chasen just chimed in. Beyonce uses 25 writers per song. Yuck. So there you go.
Speaking of the Water record, that's coming out in vinyl in the next month and a half.
I think it comes out March 3rd. Chris McClernand quarterbacked the entire process.
Yes. So that is Water's coming out on vinyl, and the Lizard and the self-titled debut just recently came out on vinyl in the last year and a half, I believe. Yeah, exactly. Have you found that the vinyl resurgence has kind of kicked up interest in Saigon Kick and in you again? Have people been discovering the band because of vinyl now that didn't necessarily know who they were before?
I mean, there's always a really nice feedback, and I'm really thankful for that. And it's nice to know. I'm not one of those guys who goes around like, oh, we were so much cooler than we were, and if we didn't have a ballad, we would have been Alice in Chains. No, we would have been exactly where we were, and it wound up exactly like it was supposed to happen. But it's nice to have people rediscovering those records and finding the more substantial or meaty parts of it, and that's a cool thing. Yeah. And I don't know that there's but I mean, it's kind of it's amongst the people that were into the band seem to be coming out of the woodworks again and really passionate.
Right.
So that's cool.
I always looked at you guys in that realm when you say, "Oh, well, if we didn't have a ballad." I mean, along with the rock bands of that era, I always viewed you guys as like a lot of people viewed Jellyfish, because you were like a bit smarter, a bit more eclectic, a bit more just different than everybody else. And it was like the people that were your fans were super fans, and it wasn't, you weren't a Saigon Kick fan in passing. You were an obsessed Saigon Kick fan.
No, we were really blessed with the people that have been support. Even the people, there's always the contingent that the first two records are the best, and there's a contingent that thinks the second two and all that stuff. But all of them collectively, I respect the hell out of that, and we're so lucky to have had that kind of base. And I think the things that caused us the most trouble in 91, 92, 93, for maybe crossing to the next level, are the same things that make these records more interesting now and gave them a life. I think had they been just of the time, it might have been more successful in the moment, but it would have no relevance now. A lot of our contemporaries at the time don't have that kind of luck. It was really a record of those years.
Right.
but I get a lot of comments about saying this record could have come out today. This song, and that's a really kind of cool thing to hear too.
Yeah, you guys are you're kind of on the same thing, other than the success of Love Is on the Way, as King's X.
Yeah,
think about it.
King's X, I think Extreme dealt with a lot of the same kind of things. I mean, there's a bunch of there's a few bands in between the transition, as we like to call it, the great transition,
the transition,
or the great wall of Nirvana.
What about I got to throw this one out there, because what about Shuttlecock?
Well, thank you very much.
That was
another one of those things that looked great on paper, and then the marketing department was like, "What is wrong with that guy?"
I remember when that came, you were so proud. I'm gonna have to do Shuttlecock.
And I thought it was being so weird, because you don't understand. On the cover, there's girls playing with shuttlecocks. It's fantastic. And I just got the kind of flatline marketing response. But I live for that. That's even the problem I have now with Jeff. I've gotten to the point where, obviously there's a lot of comedy involved in our show and a lot of nonsense. But my favorite thing now is to make the most obscure reference possible that only one guy in the back of the bar gets. Yeah. I love it when a couple hundred people are going and I hear one guy laugh because he gets it.
And one guy falls off the bar stool.
Yeah. That's as high a level as I can get in comedy. That's all I want. It's not a great way to entertain large groups of people, but I personally
you've obviously seen my comedy sets, so there you go.
Yeah, but the difference is your comedy set, the guy's falling off the drunk.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Yes, that is an excellent point.
So, did you have any involvement with any of these vinyl? I know I haven't seen the Water one yet. I've talked to Chris a bit about it. Have you had any involvement with any of these vinyl releases, or is it just stuff that you're letting other people take care of? The Saigon Kick stuff.
The vinyl releases here were all done by Real Gone Records, which was a licensing deal through Rhino. So it wasn't do you like, would you like, it's we're doing. And Chris participated a little bit more, making sure that, certain aesthetics were held to, but, and they're great people. I don't mean they did it,
right.
But that catalog's still owned by Atlantic, and they can kind of do what they want with it. And I know, Rock Candy did the reissues of the CDs, I think, out of the UK, and they did a really cool thing with that. And hey man, it's the fact that people are still showing interest in that these things are still happening I chalk it up to a good thing.
Well, go ahead, Paul. For people that are listening that don't understand, just a little music industry 101 here. What happens with a lot of the catalog is when a band doesn't own their catalog, then in this case, you don't own. The Atlantic still owns those first 3 records, correct?
For now.
Yeah. So when a band doesn't own the records and the label owns them, what'll happen is you get the companies like Friday or Real Gone Music, and they'll come in, and we do it a lot with we're doing it a lot with Metal Edge now. You go in and you pay a licensing fee to the record label for the rights to be able to print that album on vinyl, or as other companies, Rock Candy did with CDs or whatever. So a lot of times when you see these albums getting reissued, the bands don't have a lot to do with it, because it's just basically someone stepping in and going, we'll pay for the license to have the right for 2 years to be able to put it out on vinyl.
Right.
So that's how that works.
I mean, it's not even so much a money thing. I mean, I like that people who have supported both me and Saigon Kick and the band are excited about a piece of product that they want to get and they want to have. And it means a lot to them. And to me, that's the win. You know what I mean? It's that they are so excited about, this record that meant so much to them, or any of the records. And that's a cool thing. I mean, so I'm happy it's happening.
Well, and wasn't it supposed to be 30 years and then it reverts back to the artist, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the process of getting all my publishing back. I have a deal with Universal, so there's all kinds of legal maneuvers and stuff like that, and we'll be doing the same thing, with Atlantic, not in a hostile sense, but either to renegotiate or just to maximize it's been in fairness. I mean, artists scream all the time. Atlantic spent millions of dollars on Saigon Kick, and as Paul knows, any endeavor trying to break a band, especially back then, was a fortune. and a lot of bands completely lost millions of dollars. You know, and no one screams at the labels then, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you said Universal. Did you have anything in that vault then with that fire happened?
Well, Saigon Kick has its own wing on the Universal lot. I don't know if you've been there. Right next to the ET ride.
Yeah.
So we were spared the damage done to the Coltrane catalog.
The Coltrane catalog, exactly. Exactly. Do you look back at any era of the Saigon Kick period? So let's just say any the Jason Bieler era pre-Shuttlecock. Do you look back at any album phase or any era of Saigon fonder than others, or are you prouder of one record than you are another? Or are they all your babies?
I don't really look back, and I know this sounds like a shallow, like avoiding the question, but I really, and I know that certain things are going to mean more to people than anything I do new, or what I don't mean it has to be that way. And I'm not saying it in the sense of like my new stuff is where I'm at, and it's just that I don't really pay attention to what I've done in a retroactive sense. It maybe at some point I will have time to do that. A lot of the Saigon
when,
stuff,
when you're not recording 45 songs for a 15-song double album yet.
A lot of the Saigon Kick years, you know, I look back at with like a blind rage of, you know, ambition and drive and interpersonal dynamics and all the kind of normal stuff that I think everybody. So I think I missed a lot of what it was at the time. Just and not just in a focus of like trying to get things to happen a certain way and all that stuff. So I mean, a lot of the experiences I don't really look back at. I don't think I was the best me I could have been out of a, you know, but I think that's if you can't be that when you're in your 20s, then you shouldn't be in the music business anyway. I mean, you know, so I don't think there's anything negative about it. It's just, I think when you get older, you can sit back and go like, you know, oh, you know, I really could have taken 5 more minutes to appreciate playing the Budokan with Ozzy at the time, instead of, you know, a rage to like figure out how to get to the next step kind of thing. But, you know, we fought and scraped our way out of absolutely nowhere. So we weren't in LA, we weren't in New York, we were in Florida in the middle of nowhere. So I think everything to me felt like a life or death gladiator battle. There was no like coasting. There was no like, this is, I just always felt like we were one, fiber away from having it all taken away from us. Like just one wrong. So there was just constant like battling. And fortunately the career's gone well enough over time that now I can kind of just really focus on the music. And now I'm having the, you know, I hate it because you always hear like, we used to play arenas, and now that I play in front of 4 people at this barbecue joint, I've never been happier. You're like, yeah, I'm sure it's much more satisfying for you. The wafting of the pig, in the parking lot is really sending. Yeah. But truthfully,
the unlimited supply of wet naps.
Exactly. Yeah, I've never been happier or had more fun and enjoying it. But I think that's more just from my mental state than the events. I mean, playing Monsters on the Mountain, Monsters Rock Cruise, these shows with Jeff, Hotel Cafe, going around the country, having these shows start to sell out. We're playing Nashville next week. We've never even been there, and it's sold out in advance at the City Winery. I'm really enjoying that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like I'm really savoring the time with my friends, the time, with Jeff, and just it's not passing me by this time. And I'm lucky enough that my career's had this, ups and downs, and I am able to appreciate it at this point a lot more.
Right. With those vinyl reissues coming out, and
I just poured my heart out, and you just jump right back to the product.
Oh yeah, that's what I do.
Thanks, Oprah.
Don't worry, Jay. I'm going to bring us back when he's done.
Okay.
No, but this is actually leading into that kind of.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
I know you are. With the Saigon Kick reissues coming out on vinyl, is there sparked any interest of you guys? Okay, there you go. There it is.
Paul, back to you.
Back to me. I was just going to say, I was going to agree with what you're saying, because I think we get to a point in our, as we advance in age and hopefully maturity and sophistication, we begin to appreciate the things that we took for granted before. Because I always look back and say, wow, I wish when I was at Metal Edge, I had been more in tune with X, Y, or Z, you know, in 1997, 98. But it seems like, you know, back then we were doing what we did. That was it. It was, you know, where we were in our lives. Man. And right now you look at things just with a completely different light, and you enjoy everything more now because you're like,
it's a normal aging process if you get lucky enough to age.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really feel good about, and I don't mean this in the sense of hit songs or like, you know, hitting the heights of before, but the beauty of being a musician, and I have friends that are like in the NHL and, you know, all this stuff, but it really is driven home to me, like when, okay, you have a window of where you are your best. And that's finite. Maybe for some people it's 30, 35, if you're really lucky. As a musician, the thing I'm really starting to appreciate more is like, and again, not from the hit point, but I know I am a better musician now than I've ever been. And that's a cool thing. Like, that's something that I think has really been fun, that I feel like I'm getting better. I'm playing with amazing musicians. I'm being pushed in new directions. I'm experiencing new things. And that's something I really do dig about, you know, being around a little bit, is that feeling of like, wait, you know, I'm actually pound for pound, I could still get in the ring and throw down if I had to.
How do you feel as a songwriter as you're getting longer in the tooth?
I'm far better. Hey,
longer in the beard, longer in the
face. Yeah. As a songwriter, I mean, I know I'm better saying and doing what I want. Now, whether that'll ever align with a top 10 hit again, that's not of my concern. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Probably not. Who cares? But I feel better about the fact that I have more facility to do exactly what I want to do, as to where I think, you know, I look back at some of and this, again, it's a process, so I don't apologize, but some of the lyrical edges, I look back and go, oh, you could have thought about that, or some of the chord changes, or this, or, you know, and these are things that I think everybody does. You know, I don't care if it's you too, I'm sure, looks back at the first record, even though to us as fans, we're like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they look back and go, oh, if I could have just done this or that, you know.
Well, I think, though, you think about that now, but if you go back and change it, it might ruin the magic.
That's why I don't want to re-record the Saigon stuff. We've been asked to do that numerous times. Like, you know, oh, you know, we can because all the re-record restrictions are up. And it's like, even a bad sounding record of your youth carries an emotional imprint that cannot be replicated. So even though I feel like, you know, myself and some of the guys are better musicians now, and we can play the stuff and sing the stuff better, it'll never connect with the fans the way the maybe less good sounding, less, you know, more imperfection records. Those records just imprint on you, and that's what they are. And they're supposed to be that way. They're supposed to be mixed and sound that way. It reminds me of the old, was it Everybody Loves Raymond episode, where he buys Frank all the CDs of his jazz records, and he hated it because it didn't have all the scratches and the, you know, wasn't going.
Yep.
And that's the way that music touched him. So I don't even know if
I love that you just referenced Everybody Loves Raymond.
Thank you.
That was when I had my major eye surgery, and I was laid out for 9 months. Literally, that was on 24/7. Just, I'd never seen it before, and it was something different, and I turned it on, and I love the show now.
Yeah, it was well written, but that always sticks to me musically. That emotional imprint of, you know, when you're making out with a girl for the first time and Mental Health is on, a better version of that record is never going to do it for you.
No, exactly. And speaking of TV, you remember that show, Happy Days? You know that show, Happy Days, you know. Everybody wonders what happened to Potsy Weber. Great guy, that Potsy Weber. Potsy went into business. Did you know this, Jason? Potsy went into business.
You were teeing this up. You were teeing this up like it's the All-Star game.
And he did amazing. Then the feds came in and they busted him. It was a Potsy scheme. Here's a good question from the chat room. Dick Jason was wondering, you've worked with a lot of amazing musicians. You've been around a lot of amazing musicians. Is there anybody that you want to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to yet?
There's a group of people I consider my peers, like that I know, they're friends with, that I love and respect. Like Devin, I think the world of Devin Townsend, and I think he's a genius. But we've talked, it's kind of this thing. I remember, like, when we first in Saigon Kick, we opened up for Cheap Trick, And like every night they would come and they'd be like, let's jam. And I was horrified. I'd literally hide because I couldn't break that wall of this being Cheap Trick.
Mhm.
I can't stand on stage and do AC/DC tunes with Cheap Trick. Like I did, and it's on me. Like I should have just been the guy to go up there because it's about playing with Cheap Trick, you know, getting that opportunity. But I could never go on stage and play because I was too. So I don't go like, man, it would be really great if me and Prince jammed. I'd be horrified. I couldn't even, or me and Bowie, you know, we could have really done some damage. I think Bowie did okay without Bieler, you know. And so in that sense, some of my idols, I think, and I really feel like either I'd say something horribly wrong, or it would just not go the way you spend your entire life wishing it would. So I love the fact that Prince is always going to be Prince to me. Exactly. And Bowie, other than getting a message from him once, not to name drop.
I just picked up my feet, so I'm good. Nothing's gonna hit my feet.
But you know, but like there's these perfect. I have a perfect relationship with my heroes.
Yeah. What I gotta ask, what was the message you got from Bowie? Wasn't a cease and desist after you covered after the Water album? You got a cease and desist from Bowie.
It did say, please stop doing this. No.
Please stop covering this song live.
We had done a cover of Space Oddity on the Water record, and I went to Switzerland and was working with a producer, David Richards, who had done Queen's Innuendo, which people argue, but Innuendo is my favorite Queen record. So David worked with Bowie a lot because it was the same town that they all kind of lived in Switzerland, in Montreux. And he had played the version for Bowie. And whether just being a nice gentleman and not trying to crush anybody, just wrote like really nice version, boys, thanks, you know, David. And that's my Grammy. That's all I needed. He was probably like, oh shit, I just don't want to hurt these people feeling it. But it was still, you know, it was really, really nice, and it meant the world to, you know, to us. So
going back to people that, you know, you might want to work. I mean, you do work with a very talented dude. We talked about Jeff Scott Soto already. And you guys spent a lot of time together. You're his quote unquote boo. Have you guys talked about recording? He puts out like 14 albums a year already. I mean, he could do 15 and do one with you.
Him in Portnoy, I was lucky I didn't even get a slot in any record store.
Because like Scotty said, it's like, I wish he'd record Fuck You, It's Christmas.
I love Jeff, and I love what we're doing. And the thing about what we're doing as it's grown and grown, and it's so funny because Izzy, you were there the first like Monsters of Rock cruise where I started doing it. The crowd, it was great because the crowd was just like, what is happening? Like this is like, there's no spandex. This guy's it's not about hot chicks and fast cars. Why am I watching this? And as the years have progressed here, like it's become part of the fan, and everybody gets it now and understands it. It's become a, you know, a highlight for not only us, but hopefully for everybody else. But the shows are so improv and so in the moment. Like it's about that read and react, and like that thing that recording it would destroy it. Like because it's just about that. It's that I want to really bring back that
spontaneity,
spontaneity, cabaret vaudeville style entertainment where it's just going to happen and things are going to land differently every time. And then plus having all of our friends show up, like we've had everybody from Joel Hoekstra to Bumblefoot, and you know, Todd and Brent Fitz, and I mean, just the list goes on and on of everybody who's kind of, you know, Dino Jalusic has come up and done songs with us. Todd Latoure's come up. So it's just this rotating cast of everybody kind of gets the chaos that it's going to be. And it's been so fun. So I wouldn't want to like, let's capitalize on it, record it, because I just don't know that it's not the same experience.
Right. Well, I mean, you could at least put Fuck You, It's Christmas out for Christmas. You know, mailbox money.
Stop pressuring me, Izzy.
I have a feeling if you did do it, you'd probably put it out for Easter. Just
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a rebel.
Or Labor Day.
For 4th of July. Fuck you, it's Christmas.
Here, we're celebrating Ramadan with
one of my favorite pieces of Saigon Kick trivia that you might be able to expand on a little bit. Is it or is it not true? Legal issues aside, I'm not going to get into those. I'm not going to politicize because I'm still a huge fan and I'll defend him to the end. Did Marilyn Manson paint the flowers on Matt Kramer's boots on the back cover of the first Saigon Kick record?
That is 100% true.
100% true, right?
He was a journalist at the local college paper. I believe it was BBC Broward Community College or whatever. He wrote the first articles on us. He was at our warehouse that we were rehearsing. The guy that was managing at the time was a guy named Bill Bacala, who worked at Channel 7. And I remember, Marilyn at the time was, taking all the Manson videos from the TV studios and what if I did this and what if I combine this with that? And we're like, yeah, it's never gonna work. So we all came from that same, which again is a testament to how bizarre when you look at the Miami scene compared to any place else. And I'm super thankful for it because I think that's what led us to be our own thing, because we weren't rehearsing in mates with 75 bands doing.
Yeah, you weren't next to Poison and Warrant. Yeah, exactly.
No, our warehouses were like, Marilyn Manson, us, Nuclear Valdez. No one did the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I actually have the Nuclear Valdez record. I have 2 Nuclear Valdez records on vinyl. I didn't realize they were Miami.
Yeah, they're great band. And
I like them a lot.
And even if you look at Florida over the years, you have Tom Petty and you have Molly Hatchet and Skinner, but Gloria Estefan and John, what's his name, Cicada. All these Lanier, who's still a good friend.
I mean, look, I'll go one that most people hate that I love. Limp Bizkit's Florida. I mean, it's northern, but they kind of broke the mold too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real diverse. I'll go on record. Maybe the most diverse.
Yeah.
State for music.
How much of that had to do with the cocaine being pure down there? It wasn't stepped on 12 times. But so this record, what details on this record? It is available for pre-order now.
Correct.
When is the album? When is the official release? You mentioned there's a red vinyl through Bandcamp. You're going to do a yellow vinyl for indie stores. And are there still albums left on Bandcamp?
Not many. The red's kind of dwindling, so we have a few left, but not a ton, which I'm super thankful about. And then we're through Bandcamp. We're also doing the first 250 CDs we're signing, so those will come signed.
Oh, nice.
And then the record comes out April 14th officially. The vinyl will be slightly behind that.
Yeah.
Slightly. And then slightly. And then but I mean, we're gonna we're getting offers to do different shows, and like I said, I just want to make sure that when we bring it out, we do it right and in a more fully realized kind of way. And so far the feedback's been just unbelievable, which I'm thrilled with and really happy, because like I said, and you guys, I think we all live in this world now where we kind of work in isolation. And you never really know what you've written or what you've done until you have a little bit of perspective and time. So the feedback on the record's been unbelievable so far, and I'm really happy about that. And more shows with Jeff. We're doing a bunch of stuff like that. And yeah, man, I'm just enjoying it. Monsters of Rock Cruise is coming up.
Yes, it is.
I'm always looking forward to that.
I have to find another way to disgust you guys.
You'd be hard pressed.
There is a lot. I'm on the Bandcamp right now. I will be buying a red copy the minute I get off the phone.
Oh, you don't have to do that, because I think you might know somebody who may be able to hook you up.
I'm still waiting on the last record.
I like to support. You know what? There's worse things than having 2 if that happens. But it is still available on Bandcamp. There are a few copies left. So you got that one, and then it will eventually hit all the other outlets. It's going to hit Amazon, stuff like that too.
It'll be everywhere. It's fully distributed
everywhere.
all over the world. I mean, we have that all set up. But I just, after talking to the distributor, I felt like it was really important to kind of do something special for the people that have really supported everything I've done so far. And I wanted to make sure they had access to this first. And they'll even get the CD will actually get to them probably a few weeks before it should.
Oh,
really? Interesting.
So
I have a question for you. And I'm glad I went to the Bandcamp page, because I saw this and it reminded me. You have Bear Tranquilizer?
Bear Sedatives.
Bear sedatives. Yeah, bear tranquilizer,
Same
bear
thing.
sedatives.
Same thing.
Hey, you know what? I just got the album for the first time about 4 hours ago. So
Fair enough.
bear sedatives. Is that like cocaine bear?
There'll be litigation. I don't want to say, I don't think it's time to discuss right now, but
I can't talk about that.
Although it would be the perfect sequel to Cocaine Bear, would be
Cocaine bear.
You guys
Bear
know
Sedatives, the movie.
You guys know that's based on a true story.
No,
No, it is.
It's this day and age, nothing surprises
no,
me.
that is based on a true story, not all the movie gloriousness of it. But that bear ended up mounted, and it was at a museum, and then it just kind of disappeared, and it was ended up in a pawn shop, and it was owned, and it's probably still owned by the estate of Waylon Jennings.
Really? I was waiting for another Potsy scheme joke.
I was
I
like, where is he going with this?
No,
I'm waiting
that's
for
a true story.
And,
that's a true story. It is the Potsy scheme. The actual cocaine bear, the mount of it is in the Waylon Jennings estate.
Do you know how at the end of Roadhouse, when that big mounted bear falls on the guy?
Yes.
Come on, someone's got to know what I'm talking about here. I was waiting while Izzy was telling that story for this just mounted bear to come behind him and fall on top of him.
Yeah. No. Or just to see a giant paw swipe him out of the screen, like
that would have been great radio.
Jason, I do have a very, very important question. Are you the brainchild behind the grocery store girl page?
Alas, I am not.
You are not.
Big fan.
You are not, because you know what tipped me off? It might be you. Is she called me her boo?
No,
that's how you talk to Soto. So I was like, it's either Johnny Barton or Bieler.
Are you saying I'm two-time in Soto with
possibly?
It is not me. I would not. I couldn't hold out at a joke that long.
Yeah, right.
Well, whoever did it, it's fucking hilarious. No.
So what is this? I have no idea because I don't do social media anymore.
So I take this photo with this.
I know about that. Your photo with your cardboard cutout girlfriend.
Somebody made a Facebook page called Grocery Store Girl, and it's
right. So I can tell you. Here's a clue: if they made a Facebook page, they're over 60.
So, well, Johnny Martin's 95. So I still think it's Johnny Martin, but I could be wrong. So
I assure you, it's not me. Although I wish I would have done something like that to torture.
Yeah. I kind of wish I had too, because that would make it worth my while to be on social media.
Right. And I'm sorry, whoever's doing it, it would be a lot funnier if Jason was doing it. So
sorry.
I'm just saying. Paul, you got anything to pimp?
Jason, what do you do? I'm at about the length now where I have to shave again because it drives me crazy. What is your beard, for people listening, not watching? Jason's beard is glorious. You look like a Russian czar.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you have a hair technique? Like,
I'm so glad you brought this up, Paul, because
you can count on me, Jason.
I have a new product. No, seriously, I almost, again, my poor wife, we got chicken gyros, whatever, this evening with tzatziki sauce. And I literally went to bite it and it all poured down my beard. So what is doing this evening, which looks great and smells glorious, is tzatziki, some kind of tzatziki sauce.
It's tzatziki sauce.
Is the finishing touch on the beard this evening.
And you'll be spelling that for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yes, potentially longer, because I don't believe in showering. It's only February.
I had a little procedure done yesterday, and she told me to be careful about showering for the next 12 to 24 hours. And I said, I showered 2 hours before the surgery, so I'm good for the next 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
We'll talk again in spring.
Yeah, exactly. We'll smell each other in spring. Exactly.
All right. Paul, you got anything to pimp?
No, just metal edge.
All right, very good.
It's so good to see that back, by the way, because I mean what a powerhouse brand, a powerful man like yourself, powerful facial hair.
I can say this. I will tease. There is we have had several meetings about possibly returning to print.
Oh.
Yes. So
will there be a large font issue for your aged fans?
A large font issue for the editor, because I can't.
It'll be like the every issue comes with reading glasses for the old, like you can get your old
The magnifying glass.
magnifying.
Will the poster at any time be of Chad Stewart?
I think the first poster is going to have to be Izzy with the belt covering his midsection.
Yes.
Good Lord, that's something to look forward to. There
Yes.
goes.
Yeah, right.
Hold on now. Where is this, Jason? Just in case you haven't been privy to this beautiful artistry that is a photograph. I'm going to let you enjoy this.
Oh no!
Right
Is this
now,
gonna be something I need to.
Oh no!
Oh,
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, and when YouTube picks their 3 random images, that's going to be one of them.
And it's gonna be holy shit. Jason Bieler looks terrible with his shirt off.
Oh
shit!
Fantastic.
All right. Well,
I just want to say thank you.
If you line us up in the right way, it's a progression of facial hair.
That's a good point.
Deep and heady.
That is, I guess I could.
And I think Jay and I are even
all right. So I just
lighter
moved
colored
you
in the right spots.
I just moved you on my screen, so it's me, Paul, and then Jason on the bottom, as like he likes it. But also as there we go.
But I just wanted to take a quick say thanks to both of you for taking the time. It's always delightful. I'm sorry, Paul, that I've tried to communicate with you. I don't even know what I have to do anymore. Send bottle. Do I have to float a Chinese weather balloon over your house to get a message to you anymore? Like what is going on with you? It's not like I'm borrowing money.
No, text me.
All right, I'll text. Do I have your even? Just make sure I have your latest.
I'll text you when we get off the phone. I'll text you.
I
when
could
we
be
get
texting your landline from.
You might honestly, a true story. True story. I did a VH1. I did The List with Kip Winger, Jose Aber, and Bobby Brown, and we were the best hair band episodes. And I got along really, really well with Kip. Kip was like, "Oh, we got to stay in touch." I'm like, "Yeah, definitely." I'm a huge Winger fan. I'm like, "This is awesome." And fast forward, I lived in New York at the time. About 6 months later, I moved to LA. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm at NAMM, and I'm literally right in front or behind Kip in line to get into something somewhere. And he's all mad at me. I'm like, "Why are you mad at me?" And he'd been calling me, but he'd been calling me and leaving messages on my old New York number that didn't exist anymore. Like it was the dead number, like with Metal Edge, whatever my 212 number was at Metal Edge, not my 323 number or my 917 cell phone number.
I still think you're just pulling a power. Like
I trust me. My power. I don't pull that hard.
That's what he said.
We'll let that one go in as many directions as you want.
All right.
We'll exchange current information via Izzy, but
I do know that a couple people have been texting my landline because they're like, "No, I've been texting your 323 number." I go, 917 will always be my cell phone. So
yeah, I don't know what I was texting, but I felt ghosted. Is that what the kids say?
I am texting you right now, and you will have my proper information.
I love it. But thank you guys so much, and thanks for taking the time to listen to the record, and thanks for having me on.
Of course.
And to be fair, in full disclosure, I didn't respond to your last text message.
Oh, see?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I will say this. When your last text message came, I was on the road with Drowning Pool, and at that point, I probably had a gazillion text messages, and it says you're going to be playing in LA if you and Rico want to come out. I will say that.
Trying to be nice.
I'm a dick. Okay, I'm an asshole.
I didn't even say like, "Hey, we want to buy tickets." I was like, and no pressure. I think I even said no pressure in the text. Like, if you don't want to come out, no big deal. I just want to at least extend the invite. I didn't even get blown off. Didn't even get like the "now I'm busy."
I'm just telling you now. I was on the road.
All right, fair enough. But anyway, big up, love, and respect to both of you guys.
Well, thank you, Jason. And we'll say goodbye off of the air. Just let me do this really quick. Ding, 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 bomb. This has been the Metal Edge Podcast with myself, the man pretty Izzy Presley, and the great Paul Gargano, and our very, very special guest, special in quotation marks, Mr. Jason Bieler. We'll see everybody next month. This has been our episode for February, unless something important pops up. Then
it might. I mean, the nice thing about this is the album comes out in April, so it could be our February, March, April quarterly episode too.
Well, that's happened before, so you never know.
It's happened before.
It's not every day you get a tri-month marquee artist such as myself.
That's right. Actually, next Tuesday I do. I just recorded an interview with Tiffany in studio last night, so that will be the another effing podcast.
You know what's so funny? I got a call. I have to tell you about this, and you can ask her about it, and then we'll go. Like 3 months ago, I got a call like, "Hey, could you possibly play in Tampa at this event?" It's a last minute thing. Someone else dropped out. I was like, "Well, what's the deal?" Whatever. So go over that. And like, yeah. And like, it wound up being like an event with Tiffany. And as soon as they found out who I was, they don't think they realized who I was. They said they turned me down. I was not allowed to open for Tiffany or play with Tiffany.
What?
Really?
I was hurt.
Wow. It's
not a big
awesome.
deal. But I was like, as soon as the local promoter was like, "Wait a minute, that guy?" No, it's a family event. I was like,
"Oh wow." Well, that's
I hold Tiffany responsible.
It's all Tip's fault. I will pass on the message. See you guys next month here on the Metal Edge podcast, and another podcast is back next week. On behalf of Paul Gargano, Jason Bieler, my name is Izzy Presley, and do not fall for a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, God.